everyone, it's Angela at Angela's Southern Comfort Dishes and Seasonings. Okay, so today's Southern Comfort Dishes menu today on Sunday, we're having hamburger steak with gravy, mashed potatoes, and green beans. I've already seasoned my meat for my green beans, and I've added my green beans, and they're not cooking on the stove. However, I want to show you, I have some 80/20 ground beef and the seasonings that I'm going to be using and how I'm going to make my hamburger steak. And what I'm going to do is fry my meat on both sides, brown my meat really, really good for hamburger steak. And then I'm going to transfer the meat into this pan here. And we're going to cook the meat in the oven on 350. My oven is now set to 350. It's ready to go. So what we're going to do is make up our hamburger steak patties. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do, and it's very simple. I'm not using that many ingredients. And then I'm going to go ahead to the stove and I'm going to cook my meat, make my gravy, go ahead and cover it with my favorite foil that I always like to use, which is the Reynolds nonstick foil. So let's get started. Let me show you what we're doing today. Okay, so I'll pull you back just a little bit, okay? I've already sliced up my onions here, as you can see. So I've sliced up one large onion already, and I'm gonna add that to my gravy to season my gravy, okay? And this is just my knife on a napkin that I used, okay? So what I did here is I had some McCormick's chopped minced onions, and so what I did was I added it to a little bit of cold water, and what it does is it makes the onions get much larger, okay? Because they're dried out. Okay, if you've been to the store and you go in your seasoning department, you see it's made by McCormick's chopped onions. Just add it to some cold water, and what you'll do is just drain that cold water off your onions. And what you want to do is just add those onions to your meat. That's all you want to do. Or if you don't want to do that, you can chop it up. It's all the same. Just chop you up one large onion. So, and the onions just give it flavor to your meat. That's all it does, okay? That's all we're doing here, okay? All right, so just think of it when you go into a White Castle, or if you live down south, like I'm from the south. If you're familiar with the restaurant, the Crystal, you know, the hamburgers, that's how they do it. That's exactly how they do it, all right? Okay, so now I'm gonna add some onion powder, which is by McCormick's, okay? So I have a lot of meat here. I have 3.5 pounds of 80/20 ground beef. I have some ground black pepper, all right? We have to make sure that we're seasoning this meat very well, because we have a lot of meat, all right? All right, I'm gonna add a little bit of sea salt, not much. And so what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna go ahead and break up this meat. I have my onions here, but I wanna break up this meat so I can get the seasonings throughout this meat when I mix it up, you know? So now, remember, whenever you're cooking, always clean your seasonings that you're touching so you won't cross-contaminate. Clean your bottles really good with soapy hot water and be able to come back right behind it and rinse it off. All right, cool. All right, so then I have some garlic powder here. I love using either garlic powder. Either I use garlic powder or I use both of them together. But today I'm just going to go ahead, excuse me, and put me a little bit of garlic powder in here. And nothing like a good piece of meat with some good flavor in it. You hear me? So then I have me some breadcrumbs by Progresso. I love their breadcrumbs. And these are just plain. I've used the Italian before. And when I open them, if you ever cook with breadcrumbs, never put it back in your pantry after you've opened it. Just go ahead and put the plastic back on, put the top on, and I always put mine in the refrigerator. Okay? All right, so now, and I'm gonna use just a little bit of seasoning oil. Just a little flavor. We don't want too much, just a little flavor. Just like that, because we already had sea salt in here, okay? So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and mix this meat up. Okay? Oh, Jesus. Where else sweet this flour real good. So what we're gonna do is just make these patties on up. Just think of it as you're, you know, cooking your hamburger on top of the stove. This is exactly how we're gonna do our hamburger steak and make our gravy. And then Get it cooking in the oven for about an hour. Probably about an hour and a half. And I'm going to serve this with mashed potatoes and, like I said, green beans. Right. And make sure I get all this meat mixed up, because I put those onions in here and I didn't use all the onions. And then when I fry it on top of the stove, what I'll do is add me a little bit of black pepper on each side of the patty that I'm cooking. You know, put some pepper on each side. A little bit of sea salt on top. Just a little. Don't need much. You don't want to make sure your meat has some flavor in it. You know, some tasty flavor. You don't want that meat to be dry. So what I'll do is I'll stop for now and I'll come back once I get all my patties made, okay? Okay everyone, so I'm back. My hamburger steak patties are completely made up. I've already made all of my hamburger steak patties. They're ready to go. I've brought over my seasoning. My skillet is very hot. So come on, let's get started and show you what we're doing to finish these hamburger steak patties. We want to get them cooking, honey. All right, so here's our skillet. And as you see back here in the back, I have my green beans cooking. Let me turn this around just a little bit more so you see my green beans are cooking back there. So what we want to focus on right now is our hamburger steak patties, okay? So as I said, we have our hamburger steak patties. They're ready to go. So what we're going to do is go ahead. Our skillet is nice and hot. And you hear that sizzle. That's what we're looking for, okay? All right, so that's what we're looking for. I brought over the wrong spoon because I don't want to scratch my pan. So let me get the right spoon. Stay with me. changed my mind. I got my whisk instead. My whisk is better. All right, so we got this skillet nice and hot. I got it on about 5, number 5. So we want to just brown these on top, on each side. And I can smell those seasonings coming through. That fresh garlic powder in there and then onion powder. I can smell all that coming through. That's what we're looking for. It's going to taste just good too. Just very good. We're going to add a little bit of sea salt, just a little bit. You don't want to add much. Just a little bit, sprinkle. That's what we're looking for. So we're going to let these brown for a minute or two. I'm going to turn this up a little bit more. All right. So once I get all my meat brown, then what we're going to do is we're going to come back. We're going to make our gravy, put it over our meat. We're going to cover it, and we're going to set this to go in the oven. Okay. So while this is browning, give me 1 minute. I'm sorry, I need to get my foil. Okay, so sorry. I want to make sure I got my foil. Okay. So, honey, the aroma is smelling so good. Smelling so good. I can't wait to have these for dinner. Can't wait to have these for dinner. So let's just lift this up just a little bit. See what it's doing on that side. Oh yeah, this one is ready to be flipped. See that? That's what we're looking for, baby. Let's check this one out too. Stay brown. Want them to brown here. I'm just going to let it get a little bit darker than that on the other side. Okay. So then what we do is we'll add a little black pepper to each side. And I'm not going to put any sea salt over here because what I'm going to do is I'm going to season my gravy. Once I get my gravy made, you know, and those seasonings will go straight through to this meat. And once those seasonings distribute to the meat, you'll have all the seasonings that you need, okay? Bringing my sea salt over here for my gravy. Okay, these are smelling so good. So we have a lot more patties to go, but I want you to see what I'm looking for on the other side of this meat, how I want it to brown. Okay, and so while my meat is cooking in the oven, what I'm going to do is be cutting up my potatoes and getting them on to boil for my mashed potatoes. Okay, and I like to use Idaho potatoes. Turn this up to number 6. Okay, so we got our meat browning. Smelling good, honey. This house is smelling good, honey. Lord Jesus, it's smelling good. Check this one. See what it's looking like. Oh yeah, they're browning really good. And I've got my chopped onion over here. And the reason why is because once I brown all my meat, I like to put my onion on top of my meat, add my gravy, and just cover it up with foil and let it go. And the onion gives that gravy and the meat a better taste. And I love having onion gravy on my food. I love it. That's something I always enjoyed as a child growing up with Mama and Grandma would make gravy and have, you know, whatever kind of meat they were making. They would have onion in their gravy. See, that's what we're looking for right there, honey. So what I'm going to do is let these brown for a few minutes on this side, on the other side, and then I'm going to put them, transfer them over here in this cooking pan. Whenever I'm cooking large quantities of meat, I always use this pan here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour this one. Go ahead. And what I'm going to do... I'll add that one in here. I'll go ahead and pull it. So what we're going to do is rotate them in and out. That's what we're going to do. Alright. These are going to finish cooking in the oven. Just want to brown them. And so what we're going to do is the same as we did before. I'm going to add us a little bit of black pepper, each one of them. Smells so good. All right. A little bit of sea salt on both of them. Come on, sea salt. I don't want to come out. I only got a little bit in here. Smells good. Okay, everyone. So once I get all my meat brown, okay? Once I get all my meat brown, I'll come back to you, and then we'll go ahead and make our gravy, okay? Stand by. All right, guys. So got all my hamburger steak patties made up, and now I'm making the gravy. So what I've done is took that grease from the hamburger steak patties, and I've already added my flour to the grease so that we can make our gravy. So let me show you our patties, and let me show you what we're doing. I'm browning the flour right now to make the gravy for the hamburger steak. So let me show you what we're doing here. Okay, so here we are. We're making our gravy. Here are our patties. Let me show you that. Can you see our patties here? Okay, here we go. So there are our hamburger steak patties. Okay. So now what we're doing is we're browning this gravy. Okay, let me turn this camera just a little bit. I'm sorry here. Just want to make sure I get a good picture of what I'm doing. So I've already added the flour to the grease from the hamburger steak. I don't want to burn myself here. I've already added the flour to the grease from the hamburger steak. So what we're trying to do is just brown this gravy. I mean, brown the flour. I'm sorry, not brown the gravy. Okay. So while this is browning, okay, and this is our flour right here. I got it on standby in case we need a little bit of more flour, okay? And so while that's browning, what I'm going to do is go ahead, while it's browning, what I'm going to do is go ahead and add my onions, just distributed on top of the meat, just like that. It's going to give this gravy such a beautiful taste. It's going to taste so good, honey. You ever had a dinner with some gravy, honey, with some onion gravy? Yes, Lord. This is what this is right here. Okay. All right. So we got all that there. All right. So that's what we're doing. All right. So now that we got that going, I'm going to go ahead and finish browning this. Got all that goodness from the hamburger steak. Got a little piece of charred hamburger steak right there. Let me just get that. That's just a little piece for where the hamburger steak browned. You know, you give a little piece of browning in your gravy mix. Okay, just a piece of that goodness and all that flavor from the hamburger steak. We're just gonna let this brown. And I've also got on standby some water for our, now you can also add beef broth if you wish to do that to your gravy. That gives it such a beautiful flavor as well. Beef broth will actually enhance it, the gravy. So what I'm doing is just add a little bit more flour. Okay, I got my seasonings over here. I got my black pepper ready to go. So what we're going to do is just go ahead and just stir this up. I love making gravy. Because I know the exact color I'm looking for. So we're just going to let this brown. Won't take long. And our green beans are coming along just great. They are really cooking up, honey. They going. Can't wait to eat this dinner. Some mashed potatoes, honey, with some hamburger steak patties with onion gravy and some green beans. Oh, Lord, I've been thinking about this meal all week. And I kept wanting to cook it through the week, but I said, no, I'm just going to wait for Sunday dinner. And it's coming along. Just let that brown just a little bit more. Okay. And you can tell as it's getting darker under the bottom, you just want to keep stirring. You don't want it to burn. You just want to keep stirring. And I have my stove set on at 5.5. I have an electric stove. So I'll let this brown just a little bit more. This handle is hot, so that's why I'm holding my towel here. Okay, it's coming along beautiful. All right, so see it in bubble. So what we're gonna do is just Always use a soft whisk on your delicate pots and pans that are very expensive. Anything that you're paying top dollar for or have paid. Okay, so this is the color of my gravy that I'm looking for. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off my stove, okay? I'm going to turn off my stove, all right? Add my seasoning. It's right where I want it to be, at the color, all right? I'm going to add my water, all right? And that's about 2 cups. So what I'm going to do is turn on the faucet and I'm going to be letting that, all right, just stir. Oh yeah. That's exactly what we're looking for. So I'm going to add a little bit more water. Alright, so there we have it. So now I'm going to add a little bit of, and see it's thickening up and the stove is still off, but the stove is hot and your pan is hot. Alright, okay, so we got our seasoning all in there. We got our black pepper in there. I'm going to add a little bit more water. Okay, so that's about 2.5 cups. Alright, we are ready, honey. We're going to pour this delicious gravy on over on that meat. We're going to cover our pan. And we're going to let this cook for about 1.5 hours. This gravy is nice and thick. And when your gravy is too thick, you just add you either some more beef broth if you're cooking beef, or if you're cooking pork, you just add you some chicken broth. And if you have hypertension, you can also get the low sodium either in broth, if you're doing in broth, you know, whether you're doing pork or poultry. All right. So what I believe I would like to do at this time is I'm going to add just a little bit more black pepper. Ooh, this smells so good. It smells so good. I'm going to add a little bit more black pepper. I'm going to add another tablespoon or 2 of self-rising flour just to thicken it up, let this gravy get thick. I love nice thick gravy. Okay. All right. I'm going to lock this in place. Get us some more water. All right, here we go. So next, just whisk this on in here together, honey. And this is all going to cook in that meat. You might not need any more water, we'll see. Make sure everything is well incorporated. Just want to make sure I whisk this flour on in here really well. Alright, we're ready to add this gravy on this meat and let it get on its way cooking, honey. Alright, we're ready. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is just pour this over here. I don't want to burn myself. Oh yeah. And that's what we're looking for. And I'm right-handed, so excuse me, I gotta flip back over. And get all that goodness. All that gravy. I don't want to throw nothing away. Get all that we can out this pan. Oh yeah. Okay. So set this in here so I can go ahead and wash it and clean my stove. All right. Oh yeah, this is gonna be a delicious dinner here. I add a little bit more water. Just a little bit. All right, here we go. All right, that's it. So now I'm gonna cover this meat. Just gonna move the meat around, make sure we have enough covered. All right. Okay, everyone, so this completes my tutorial. I'm going to cover my meat here and get it on in the oven. All right, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you, and I'll come back and show you the final presentation of the meat once it's completed cooking in the oven. Thank you for watching. Give me a thumbs up, leave me a message, let me know what you think about this video. Also, please share this video with your family, friends. Thank you. Stay safe. Hello everyone. Okay, so our hamburger steak patties are now done and out of the oven. I just brought them out. I'm going to show you so that I can serve my family dinner, okay? And it's okay. We'll get some more foil. Ooh, that is hot. Let me get a spoon. Give me one moment. Get this out of the dishwasher. It just stopped. Oh, Lordy. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that. Okay, so what we're going to do, honey, we're going to show you all this hamburger steak and gravy. Okay, so our hamburger steaks are done. Got all those onions going around. Now it's a little bit too loose. The gravy is a little bit too watery. So what I'm going to do is add a little bit of cornstarch and water and thicken it up. But I just wanted to show you all the final meat. Okay. Thank you for watching, and let me know what you think about this video, the hamburger steak patties and mashed potatoes and green beans. I will upload all the pictures along with the video as well. Okay. Thank you for watching. Everyone have a great Sunday. Bye-bye.